Yes.
All right. Last game is going to be Mono Black versus
An unknown deck. Actually, we know it's going to be mono blue. I'm pretty sure because it should be Brian.
Right.
So looks
All
like
right,
we're
so
going to see
Mono
mono
Black
black
versus
versus
Mono
mono blue,
Blue.
which is essentially the
Been there, done that. We
yeah.
have seen that matchup so much this standard season. Although Mono Black has changed a lot. I'd be interested to see. I'm not entirely sure if Dylan's list has changed too much. I like the move away from Night Veil Spectre. I think there's a lot stronger cards you can be playing in black. Looks like Dylan is playing the list that splashes red for Dreadbore Slaughter Games, the list that recently was played in the Invitational by the guy that won the Invitational, Derek Sheets. Congrats to him.
Yep.
And in the board, Dylan has some Ratchet Bombs that he could bring in that would help, I guess, against Master of Waves tokens.
And Master of Waves itself, because I guess if you're splashing red, that could be a problem, but I doubt it.
I think the red is just for like 1 or 2 cards in the board and a Dreadbore in the main. See here, we've got some Drown in Sorrows, which is another card that's very fantastic against Master of Waves and all his 2/1 buddies. Some Duresses won't be coming in. Life Bane Zombies. Pack Rats. Pack Rat is always free wins.
It's good when your opponent doesn't have Detention Sphere. So
Pithing Needle, which likely won't be coming in unless he sees a bunch of Planeswalkers or something.
I like to bring. Well, you're not going to bring it in. Maybe for Thassa, that's probably about the only thing.
Yeah, Thassa does randomly just beat you with the unblockable ability. Doomblade, the extra Doomblade is going to come in. He has a Sire of Insanity in the board. I doubt that'll be coming in. It would probably come in if he's playing as a Sphinx's Revelation deck, but that's got to be about it.
Brian also has Ratchet Bomb, which you can bring in for Pack Rats if you suspect your opponent's playing Pack Rat. Some Negates, which could be relevant. Some removal spells. Domestication, which is also really good.
I love Domestication in this matchup, although it gets a little bit worse when your opponent's no longer playing Night Veil Spectre.
Right.
It still gets Pack Rat, though, which is... we basically just have to wait and see what kind of list he's playing.
Right, exactly.
I guess you could steal a Gray Merchant.
You can steal Gray Merchant, which you can lessen their devotion a little bit. So.
And just have another blocker.
Just have a 2/4, which is actually kind of hard for them to get through sometimes when they don't have the flyers.
Their hand is all Doomblades.
Right. So we'll see how it goes. They should be getting ready to get started here very, very shortly.
Maybe we'll actually get to see a turn 1 Cloudfin evolve on turn 2.
Yes. Yeah, we haven't seen the...
that would be something.
We have not seen the turn 2 Frostburn Weird at all in the games where we've watched Brian. So.
I just want to see the turn 2 Pack Rat. I mean, I know that makes me a really terrible person, but it's always so fun because when you're on the Pack Rat side of the table, you're like, all right, turn 2 Pack Rat. Do you have the answer? No? All right, game 2. Like, that card just gets so out of hand so quickly. All right.
Here we go.
So looks like they're going to roll for first. This is the final round of tonight's standard tournament. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
So 9 for Brian.
And
10 for Dylan. So Dylan's likely going to be on the play.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good
place
to be.
Really good on turn 1. And every turn thereafter, pretty much.
Unless you're at 2 or less life, yes.
Unless you want to go out with style.
It's true. Sometimes it's just worth dying to know what your opponent had in his hand. So we have a Night Veil Spectre, some lands, a Cloudfin Raptor, I believe.
All I was really able to make out from Dylan's hand as he was drawing was some lands. I think I might have seen the Thoughtseize. So if you're on the play, that thought, like... what's he doing here?
Looks like he's counting out his library. Maybe he has some drawn a sideboard card. Not sure what's happening. Maybe he failed to de-sideboard from the previous round. We handily have judges nearby who can resolve the situation. So.
We're just still trying to figure out why Dylan was counting his library.
And now he's looking through his library, so something is...
It has to be a sideboard issue. There was a Sire. We know that's in his board. He could be playing at main. It says there's 1 Sire in his board. Okay, so the issue was Dylan apparently just shuffled his sideboard into his library.
He's called it on himself. He's drawn a sideboard card. It's
Right. So it looks like it's just going to be
a warning, and we're going to have to deliver his sideboard out to him. So give us just a second here. Little nerves for our on-camera feature, perhaps leading to the error. So
yeah, just a little bit of nervousness. It's not going to be a game loss since he did immediately call it on himself, and we are at regular REL tonight.
Definitely going to be even competitive. This would be downgraded to a warning
Right.
because he called it on himself before
Right.
the game began.
Both players just want to play a good game of Magic. They're just excited to be playing. So it's always like such a mixed feeling.
Is going to get
bigger
a free
tournaments.
mulligan to 6, however. So.
Yeah. It's always a very awkward feeling at tournaments when you're not sure if your opponent's going to get a game loss and you're not sure if you want them to. You know you want the win, but at the same time, when you know they're in the same position you are and they're playing it out, trying to top 8, top 16, whatever, and you know that they're just randomly getting knocked out because of little mistakes like this where you just not forget to de-sideboard, but rather just grab your deck out of your deck box. You're not thinking about it. Don't forget we have a PTQ coming up.
Yes.
On April the 19th. You can pre-register on Facebook. The link is on our Facebook. You can pre-register on the Crimson Castle website to save $5 on your entry. The format will be sealed, so if you pre-register, it'll be $35. At the door, it's going to be $40. We will also, we won't be commentating, but tomorrow night and Saturday, we will also be streaming Yu-Gi-Oh! So if you want to stick around and watch that, you should also subscribe to us on Twitch or Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, same time tomorrow for Yu-Gi-Oh! Saturday, we're actually going to be streaming the International Board Game Day, so that will be...
All right, we have a Ticket to Ride tournament, right?
We have a Ticket to Ride tournament and a lot of other things going on as far as board games. So if you like board games and you can't get out to your local game store for International Board Game Day, then feel free to check us out. We'll definitely be playing. I love Ticket to Ride. We have busted at least 2 Ticket to Ride boards inside my store. Not from anger, but from actually just using them that much. So that's going to be exciting. I'm definitely going to be playing in the Ticket to Ride tournament. So other things that we do here at Crimson Castle other than just playing Magic the Gathering, and tomorrow's Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament hopefully will be just as exciting as tonight's was. So it looks like we have got to force mulligan to 6 due to the sideboarding issue, and now Dylan will get to decide whether he wants to keep this 6-card hand, which apparently only has 1 land in it, so I think he's going to be going to 5.
Yikes, rough beats.
The important lesson out of this, and I wanted to say this as a judge and somebody who judges large events, is if you open your opening hand at a large event and you have a sideboard card in your opening 7 of game 1, go ahead and call the judge, because Dylan obviously only got a warning, and that's what's going to happen to you, is you're going to get a warning, as opposed to playing a game where you know you have drawn a sideboard card and then it gets found out later, in which case you're going to get a cheating penalty, and that's going to send you to the Dairy Queen. So
yeah,
very different when you know what you're doing and you know you're doing something wrong versus knowing that what you've done is calling the penalty on yourself is clearly the right thing to do there.
It's a good way to make sure penalties get downgraded. I mean, sometimes penalties can't get downgraded, but even in situations like that, it's not so much, even if the penalty's downgrade is to a game loss, that's still preferable to being disqualified from a tournament and, getting investigated by the DCI. No one wants to get banned.
No one wants a ban. No one wants to play 2 Explorers. No one wants to do anything like that. So.
Right, so Brian's going to be feeling pretty good about this. He is on the draw against an opponent who's mulled to 5.
I see a Night Veil Spectre and at least 1 land. I don't see any other lands. We have an Underworld Connections and a Devour Flesh.
Yeah, we can't really afford to
ourselves on turn 1.
Thoughtseize?
For a turn 1, perhaps Thoughtseize. Can't really think of another reason to shock ourselves on a mull to 5.
Right. All right, so we've got a
So we're down 2 cards, and
We hope our
we're
opponents-
starting the game at 14.
We hope our opponent's hand is slow. We go for the and it is. It looks like a lot of cards we can't take, so it's a lot of lands. What's that card? The
Night
fifth-
Veil Spectre
the
and
fifth
Cloud
card,
Raptor, and I'm not sure what the
The
other
blue card is. He's got like under the island. So I don't think it's an island. It could
It's
be an
4
island.
islands and something.
Right. It's okay. It was a slow enough hand that Dylan's probably not out.
Maybe it was an island, actually.
Yeah, I think it might have been an island.
He put it over with his lands, so
Right.
unless he was just running the massive.
No, I don't think
That
Brian's
beats-
running the scones here. All right, so we get our second land and the pack rat. Ah, no pack rat.
No,
All right.
he's got a Devour Flesh, which is going to be really good against this Cloud Raptor. So
Right. So now our opponent has no threats in hand that we know of. So we're feeling a little bit better about our Mold of 5.
absolutely.
And we even get to go, or Brian gets to gain a life, right?
There's yet another Cloudfin Raptor that's not helping. It looks like we have drawn a Bident over on Brian's side. Dylan makes his 3rd land drop, which is kind of amazing. Kind of surprised he didn't shock there to go ahead and go for the Underworld connections.
Me too. Or leave open a Hero's Downfall for this guy. But I mean, at the same time, you know you're a little bit behind. You don't want to necessarily lose a bunch of life. That's a really good Jace reveal.
That is probably about as good as you could have asked for. So he's going to get, I'm guessing, Judge's Familiar, and
Right. That's definitely the pile I would pick. It's got a flyer and it's got another guy.
kind of surprised by the split there.
Right, I
I
feel like
think
I
I
would've
would have played the Tidebinder and Judge's Familiar together to incentivize, because Tidebinder does nothing to you.
Tidebinder is nothing, and like Frostburn Weird is actually randomly very difficult to deal with if you're running a list that's playing Ultimate Price, for example.
Absolutely.
I think some of the mono black decks have moved away from that, but at the same time, you just got to play what you have.
Oh, we have Desecration Demon.
That's big.
Yeah, that guy's large. And I believe that's on time. So he's literally missed 0 land drops after keeping a 1-lander on a Mold of 5. Must be nice.
No, he's missed a land.
Oh, has he
He's
missed
one
one?
drop. Yeah, because Brian has 5 in play, and he was on the
Okay,
drop.
there we go.
So we missed 1 land drop, which still on a hold of 5 is a pretty darn impressive feat.
So now Brian gets to evolve his guy a couple of times based off of the Frostburn Weird.
Right,
and the-
still not getting through that Desecration Demon.
I mean, like, you could, in theory, tap it down with the Judge's Familiar that's doing nothing, and then
I think that play is probably too aggressive. I'd rather leave more in play and maybe draw into Master of Waves. Just
you could
lock
actually
it up.
just do it on his attack step, and then be able to get there for a lot of damage with your Cloudfin and your Frostburn Weird.
That's true.
And now we get a Lifebane Zombie. This is going to hit literally nothing. Not exactly the best card in this matchup. And there's the Judge's Familiar being sacked to tap down Desecration Demon.
Judge's Familiar tapping down Desecration Demon is better than Judge's Familiar being sacked to counter removal. So we'll take it.
Yeah, with the amount of mana that's in play right now, I don't know that Judge's Familiar is going to counter a whole lot of instants and sorceries. So just because those spells tend to be a lot cheaper for the mono black player. Now we have Bident in play and the opportunity to get in there for some damage. Draw some cards. Looks like we're going to do 4 damage to Dylan. He's going to go down to 12. We're going to draw a couple of cards off of our Bident. Looks like a land and maybe a Tidebinder Mage. And then yet another Judge's Familiar to keep this Desecration Demon tapped down.
Yeah, that's the big downside to Desecration Demon and cards like that in general, like the Tribute Mechanic. Things that give your opponents too much control over what's going on is usually going to lead to you not getting to do what you need to do with the card. I still think Desecration Demon is a fantastic card. You know, Brian can't keep ripping creatures forever. I guess he can with a Jason play. We have a Night Veil Spectre. All right, so we're doing a good job of clogging up the board. But at the same time, that Cloudfin Raptor is like 1 Frostburn Weird away from being unblocked by that Night Veil Spectre for the rest of the game.
You also randomly get the opportunity here to do nothing this turn and use Bident next turn to force some attacks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks
And
like
then-
we're getting some attacks in anyway. We've moved to
Yeah.
combat. We've gotten the desecration. Yeah, we take Jace down a little bit.
So we've drawn a Frostburn Weird, which is going to make our guy huge.
Right.
And
Revealing
we've
island,
cashed in Jace on
island.
some islands and another Bident. This is probably the worst Jace cash in that you're going to see in a while.
Right. We already have a Biden. I think you separate the lands because the Bidens is totally irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, I really think you just take whatever the 2-card pile is there.
Right. Exactly.
So
But the Biden's still irrelevant because Biden's legendary.
the lands are probably irrelevant as well. So.
That's fair. Till he draws Thassa.
Till he draws Thassa. So we're
I mean,
going
that's
to
a
probably
mess.
play a Frostburn Weird here.
Or Curse of the Swine. Because we do know Brian plays one Curse of the Swine on the board. So I guess this is game 1 though. So and I'm assuming he doesn't have any main. Could be wrong. Alright, so we're gonna get in there with our Cloudfin Raptor and Frostburn Weird. Frostburn Weird, of course, being able to pump up and trade with this Nightbell Spectre if Brian wants to do. And
Which is
it
exactly
looks like
what's gonna
he
happen here.
probably does. Right, alright. So we're gonna trade there.
Dylan's going to drop to 9. Brian's going to drop a card. He's going to untap, or not untap. Untap would be really good.
Right?
He's
Just
gonna
sort of feast and
play-
famine now.
He's going to play this Tidebinder Mage that I think he's drawn in the intervening couple of turns to keep his opponent's Desecration Demon tapped down. We've already played a land for the turn, so that Mutavault we drew off of our Bident activation, or not going to Bident trigger, I guess, is not going to be useful
know,
for us.
Okay, so we have a Mutavault now. That's a lot of lands for a Mold 5. I almost feel like we could afford to let the Desecration Demon just hit us. I don't know if I would have sacked there. Like, just let it hit you, have another 2/2 in play. Your opponent's at 9. Like, can they? I think Dylan is not in a position where he can actually afford to attack. So there's no reason to sacrifice the creature necessarily on his turn instead of yours.
I believe Brian's the beatdown deck in this matchup, and I think that's clear. So I think he's just trying to be as aggressive as possible with the creatures that he has. Lifebane Zombie is going to get in there for some damage, which is a little surprising. But and there's the Underworld Connections that has finally hit the board. I think that probably should have been played several turns ago to try to catch up on some of the card disadvantage.
I'm inclined to agree, but at the same time,
we are trading life points for cards. So
right,
it may
and
not
we've already molded 5, and so I guess like getting the creatures out and answering your opponent's creatures is pretty relevant. All right, so we have a Mutavault that can. It's probably gonna have to block this Frostburn Weird. I don't think we can afford to take 6.
Is that a Thassa that we
7, it'd be 7, because we can pump it 3 times.
That
And
is
we
a
drew a
Thassa.
Thassa.
So we can make some guys unblockable, play a land.
I think we don't even need to make anything unblockable. I think we're fine with trading Frostburn. Well,
Make
Nah.
Frostburn Weird
unblockable.
unblockable. And
Just get in there.
there for 7 points of damage, put our opponent at 1.
We can only get in there for 6, but
6.
Thassa's
sure,
also active.
yeah, not sure why we've made the Cloudfin Raptor unblockable.
I don't think it made it
as it was unblockable.
I don't think
he tapped 4 mana and pointed to both of his creatures. So
Yeah,
I'm
it
pretty
could
sure he
have
did.
been a pump, but I guess it wasn't.
No. Little surprised by all of those things. Now we've also got another Mutavault, so we can tap down our opponents.
Guessing that's just force a habit, make your creatures unblockable. You're not thinking about it.
A little bit of a stumble there. Could have had our opponent at dead to Cloudfin Raptor, and we managed to not do that.
I mean, they're still just dead. Like Thassa, he can make Thassa unblockable next turn.
That's true.
I don't think he can turn Thassa off.
He's got to draw 2 removal spells. He has to be able to kill both the Cloudfin Raptor and.
He could just draw Grey Merchants. Just running Grey Merchants for the rest of the game. He does have.
That's what my mono black opponents always do. is
just draw running Grey Merchants.
Draw a bunch of Grey Merchants.
card's really good, I hear. All right, so Dylan's gonna drop to 3 by using Underworld Connections and draw not a Gray Merchant.
It does have 5 mana, so if he did draw a Gray Merchant, he would be able to cast it. It's 4 or 5.
It's a Gray Merchant.
It is a Gray Merchant. So 2, 4, 6, 8 points of life.
All right, so we go to 11. That seems pretty good.
Yep.
But even at 11, are we still just dead to things being unblockable? Let's look real quick. So we make Thassa unblockable. Make Cloudfin actually unblockable this time, so we don't have to like tap down Desecration Demon. Oh, I guess we have to tap down Desecration Demon, or we just die this turn, because Lifebane Zombie is unblockable.
Yes, that is actually true.
So yeah, we're gonna animate Mutavault and tap down the Desecration Demon that is now impossible to do anything with.
Desecration Demon should
The
have
Desecration
gotten a
Demon.
4th counter placed on it.
Right.
That guy has Intimidate. You're not blocking. That should not be happening.
Right. Desecration Demon should have 4 counters on it though.
Right.
See if we can't get someone to fix that real quick.
He's scrying this to the bottom because it was a Nykthos, and that's not going to do anything, is what I'm assuming is happening. And he thinks he needs it to. Oh, I guess he's
It's actually
going to
really
draw
good
it.
because we can make more things not monstrous, but we can make more things unblockable.
5 unblockable, or 5 mana being added to the mana pool.
Right.
6 mana.
I think we can hit Dylan.
You've already played
a land this turn.
Yeah, that land needs to go back to your hand.
And Desecration Demon should still have that 4th counter on it from the Mutavault sack. Again, with the playing a creature after activation. Yeah. But yeah, we do get to get in there for Xaxes.
Yep.
All right.
So not the cleanest game for the mono blue player. Pretty good mold of 5 though from mono black.
For real, I mean, any game where you mold a 5 and still get to resolve, not just resolve, but live to resolve a Gray Merchant, it's pretty good.
Yeah, the Gray Merchant, of course, is the defining card of this deck. It's the card you want to get to. So being able to get there, using your life totals as a resource, and then gaining that life back is what you want to be able to do.
Right. Gray Merchant is such an absurdly powerful card. I remember when the set was spoiled, people were asking me like whether or not I thought it was going to be playable, and I thought that it wouldn't be. Honestly, I thought that it was going to be too slow, and yeah, and I was just completely wrong. Apparently, there's enough removal, and then Thoughtseize, helped make it where you can go turn 1 Thoughtseize, take their most aggressive card, and then start going removal spell, removal spell, removal spell, slam Gray Merchants. Man, if only
using Underworld Connections to regain your life.
Right. If only Gray Merchant.
I believe the Thassa was made unblockable. The Nykthos activation there should have produced enough mana to make all 3 of those creatures unblockable.
Right.
So, answering a question from the chat.
Right. Yeah, you can target more than 1 creature with Thassa.
Yeah, he had 7 mana there, so he could have made up to 3 creatures unblockable there.
Yeah, what would have been absolutely insane if Gray Merchant was in Old Standard and we had Restoration Angel and Thragtusk. Can you imagine just playing like the most absurd Restoration Angel? Thassa did come into it as a creature.
Absolutely. He
All
did
right,
miss
so
his trigger.
There were a couple of missed
triggers
triggers.
there.
Yeah, we missed that Desecration Demon. I don't know.
Yeah, the tapping Nykthos and adding a bunch of mana to the mana pool was the only possible use there was for making creatures unblockable. So that's our assumption. We can't hear the conversation that's going on at the table, but that's pretty much my assumption on what transpired there. Once again, hate to be a broken record, but don't forget we do have a PTQ coming up on April 19th. You can pre-register at www.crimsoncastlegames.com or through our Facebook page if you have a PayPal account. then obviously you can save $5. Otherwise, you can pre-register or you can register at the door. Be $40 at the door, $35 through pre-reg. Um, we will be live streaming the PTQ. This is what all of this is in preparation for, and why your feedback is greatly appreciated, because we want to put on the best show we possibly can.
Right. For the PTQ, the commentators are going to be our locals, Drew Bentley and Dustin Thompson. I will not be commentating because I, for one, am super excited to be playing in this PTQ. I love playing sealed. I think it's really fun. I enjoy having to build the decks on the fly, and this is the Castle's first PTQ, right?
It's the first PTQ that we've hosted some for a different TO, but this is the first one that we're putting on the entire show.
Right,
so
and this is
we're super excited.
This is the first PTQ in Tuscaloosa since I moved here like 4 years ago, so I'm really excited. PTQs are normally just far enough away that I can't justify going.
Yeah, I think our last PTQ was actually old 6-year extended, so.
Yeah.
You really don't get game losses for missed triggers. That's not the way missed triggers work anymore. So,
right.
It's
missing evolve is just like, it's just bad for you. You're not gonna, like, you'd get a warning, I guess, and if you get enough warnings.
You don't even get that. It's beneficial for you, so you're not even going to get a warning for missing evolve.
Unless what they're talking about, if this was like a much higher level thing, so like day 2 of a Grand Prix. Day 2 of a Grand Prix, sure. I could see some of those warnings eventually adding up to a game loss, because that's exactly what happened at that Modern Grand Prix to the Affinity player. Remember, he like missed gaining life off of Vault Scourge. And I know that's not a trigger, but like he missed something, and even though it was a beneficial trigger, it was still, you know, it's due. But that's professional, and most events that people are playing in are not going to be professional level. It's just day 2 of Grand Prix. That's PT or Pro Tours.
Pro Tours day 2 of Grand Prix is basically it.
Yeah.
Not invitationals. I'm sorry.
I think even the invitational is only competitive.
Right.
Yeah.
No, Mox, or whatever the Magic Online thing. Whatever the Magic Online Championship thing that they do that's live is, that they do at Worlds. Worlds. Technically a Pro Tour, but.
Right.
It's also obviously a professional area. So.
And that's the good thing, you know, is at Wednesday night, it's just regular REL. We try and run Wednesday night tournaments and Friday night drafts. Right. So, but we try to run those at the lower RELs because it's important that players feel comfortable. We want people to come back and learn how to play and continue playing, as opposed to, like, I know I, for one, there's a lot of misconceptions about Magic players when it starts getting to the competitive scene. When I first started playing Magic, when I started college, I had a lot of my friends tell me that I shouldn't go and play competitively until I had really learned the rules, because people would not let me untap my lands if I forgot to untap during my untap step, and ridiculous things like that, things that just are not true. So if these newer players have the mentality of, if they come to a Wednesday night standard tournament and they forget to evolve a Cloudfin Raptor, or they, you know, forget to put a counter on Desecration Demon, that they're going to start getting game losses, they're just going to stay at home and play with friends. Sorry, we're getting in for 2 with Mutavault.
Yeah, and I believe Brian mulliganed and kept his 6 and went turn 1 Cloudfin Raptor, and is now just being attacked for 2 with the turn 1 Mutavault. So now we're actually going to see
turn 2, not Cloudfin. Oh, we see the turn 2 Cloudfin Raptor.
Cloudfin Raptor actually evolve and do some damage on turn 2. It's the first time in 4 games with Brian.
It's the first time in Magic the Gathering history that a Cloudfin Raptor has evolved on turn 2.
That's probably not true.
That's a bit of an exaggeration, I'm sure, but you know, it's still reasonable.
All right, so we're going to see a Devour Flesh, and I guess.
Oh, please counter it. Sack it to counter, please. Don't gain the life. That'd be beautiful. Is that what happens?
I think we. What's life?
Perfect. Who even cares? All right, we got the Thatsa. We're getting in for 1. I feel like I've seen Brian do that, like, jokingly in playtesting multiple times. Like, he'll be like, sack it to counter. He's like, I'm just gonna sack this, you know.
We have a question in the chat of, at a local game stores, what can you get game losses for besides cheating? Really, I mean, for like a Friday Night Magic type event, not a whole lot. Game losses aren't something we're trying to give out. So most of those things are run at what we call regular REL, which means unless you're actively attempting to do something wrong, you are probably not going to see a severe penalty.
Right. It's not so much that it's at a local game store. It's just like what level the event is run at.
Right. If you go to an invitational qualifier or something like that, you don't have to worry about. You have to worry a lot more about getting game losses for multiple violations of the same rule.
Besides cheating, I guess like at Friday Night Draft, if you punched me in the face,
Yes, aggressive
you would-
behavior.
that'd probably be more than a game loss.
Probably going to be asked to leave,
Yeah. But yeah, it's
or at least game loss is probably the worst, or the least of your worries at that point.
right.
There may be police involved, like all.
At F&M, you would almost have to be actively trying to get game losses. F&M things, a lot of things are slap on the wrist, don't do that. Like even with some of the more experienced players, like I know me and some of my friends will have times just like, we call a judge on ourselves and we just look at each other and we're like, I saw the top card of my library or I accidentally saw an extra card while I was looking to draw a card. And that's the thing too, is not just the environment being a regular REL and people trying to get these game losses and stuff, but if you're really going to these F&Ms and these local game events regularly, you're going to be part of the community. No one's going to want to, hopefully your local community isn't the kind of people that are going to try and scum you out of getting to play Magic, especially if you're a newer player. So do not let anything stop you from coming out and playing at your local game stores.
So we've had a lot of things happen on the screen.
Yeah, there is
here.
a Thassa attacking. There's a Jace and a Bident.
Yes, so this is a lot of card advantage. We have a Life Bane Zombie on one side and probably the end of the aggression here because there is an active Thassa. And
Well,
an
I mean,
active
why
Jace
stop?
on the
We can just
opposite
make Thassa unblockable. We have to totally.
stop the aggression from mono black player, not stop the aggression from the,
Oh,
from the
okay,
mono
okay.
blue player.
We don't have to stop the mono black player from doing anything here. We just keep getting there. He's at 10. That's
Right.
2 hits from Thassa.
But last turn he
Right.
had attacked with his Life Bane Zombie and his activated Mutavault, so that's pretty aggressive. And then this board state happened. But now we have a Hero's Downfall taking care of Jace. Thassa is still is no longer a creature, so we feel confident getting in there with our Life Bane Zombie. Evening the
Alright.
life totals up a little bit more, getting a little bit closer.
The story you're referring to, I think, was a small child playing at a sealed event, actually, a pre-release, and he had some ridiculous dragon from one of the core sets, and he played the dragon against his opponent, who was an adult. His opponent asked to see the card. He picked it up, took it out of the sleeve, and ate it, or so the story goes. The child, flabbergasted, calls a judge, comes over, and the child points and excitedly says, "My opponent just ate my Shivan dragon," or whatever. The judge looks at the adult, and the adult says, "Seriously? Like I would eat a magic card?" And apparently, so the story goes, the child got DQ'd for lying and unsportsmanlike conduct or something. It all smells really fishy to me, but like it's still an amusing little story to tell. If can't beat them, eat them.
Yeah, there seems like there would be witnesses that could be talked
Right.
to.
That's what really bothers me is like no one and surely if it's like a kid at a sealed event, he's gonna be excited opening this thing. So we have a Master of Waves with 4 devotion. So that's gonna not do a thing to stop that Life Bane Zombie from getting in there. We're just trying to
The
turn
crackback
on.
is going to be a lot worse, except for here's yet another Hero's Downfall. So that's going to clear a bunch of dudes unless we have.
Do we have a
card in
counter?
hand?
Okay,
we're
okay.
gonna have rapid hybridization our
So
own guy
at least we have
to at least
a
get an
guy. I'm surprised we don't rapid hybridization the Life Bane Zombie. I feel like it's going to be easier to do with the Life Bane Zombie, or I mean, easier to do with a 3/3 than a 3/1 that you can never block ever.
Right. I feel like the idea here is that we're going to be a lot more aggressive as the mono blue player. We were trying to be the aggressor here, so
So we're
I'm
scrying
not
something
sure
at
if
the
that's the
bottom.
right
What
plan
do we
or
rip
not.
off the top? Is it something that turns on Thassa? All right, so we're getting in there for 3.
And doing a whole lot of nothing. Was that a Cyclonic Rift? How close are we to actually being able to overlay Cyclonic Rift?
Why do we need to? Why do we need
We
to?
don't even need to double it. We can just bounce the zombie. on our opponent's end step here because we don't care about taking the 3. Bounce the zombie, get there for 3, draw a card.
Yeah.
Oh, and our ape has now been, or frog, I'm sorry, it's not an ape. I keep thinking it's
Pongify.
Our frog has been Heroes Downfall. So that's 3 Heroes Downfalls I believe we've seen. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, but 2 of them have been used on creatures and not planeswalkers. So Night Veil Spectre is
Night
pretty
Veil
much
Spectre
the most
is-
beautiful thing we could have possibly drawn there.
Absolutely. It's going to activate our Thassa, or turn our Thassa on, and then we're going to turn her sideways.
And now we have
Do 4 or 5
unblockable
damage,
Thassa and a flying 2/3.
and draw a
This game
card.
is not looking good for Dylan.
No.
I mean, that being said, he's had a lot of Heroes Downfalls. Maybe the rest of his hand is just removal as well.
It is possible, but if he's sitting on a Doomblade or something like that, that's
It's going to do
gonna
absolutely
be
nothing
inappropriate.
about,
or,
yeah.
or inopportune, I guess I should say. We now can also block this Lifeline Zombie if we have to. So.
That's absolutely true. If we actually needed to.
Although that would, of course, turn off our Thassa. So
Things we
might
probably
not
don't want to
be-
do. Yeah.
Still have Cyclonic Rift in hand, so.
All right.
And there's the handshake. So we've got a winner, 2-0 with Mono Blue Devotion, going to Brian Rich. We're going to try to get him in here to show us his deck a little bit, whatever special little things that he's done to make the deck better. So we will have a deck tech with Brian coming up, Mono Blue Devotion.
The list will be going up on the Crimson Castle Facebook page, so you guys should be sure to like that later on tonight and check that out. That's also a good place to get updates on when we're streaming, when events are happening, what's going on, and where to be and when.
Absolutely.
So our winner tonight is Brian Rich,
Yep.
Mono Blue Devotion. Mono Blue Devotion.
Mono who knew that deck
Right,
still
that deck still exists.
and
Like,
is still
even-
good enough to win tournaments.
Even with everyone playing Mono Black, even with everyone playing the Red Green Monsters and the Esper Control, it's actually, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said Mono Blue is apparently falling out of favor with a lot of the like the SCG circuit right now. I don't think it's actually favored in the Mono Black matchup.
No, it's definitely a dog
So-
in the Mono Black matchup.
But I guess drawing Thassa is a really powerful thing.
Yeah.
Buying a Thassa and Jace are also very powerful things.
So-
All right. We're going to get Brian in here.
We're
We're
gonna
going
get
to
Brian
talk
in. I'm gonna
about.
move out of the way so that these guys can talk. So have fun,
Have a seat,
everybody.
Brian.
Yay.
Sorry.
Just your typical Mono Blue Devotion deck. Doing work the way it's meant to.
So, what made you play Mono Blue tonight? First of all, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
So, why did you sleep on Mono Blue?
Know the deck really well. Been playing it for about 3 months now. And just really comfortable with it. That and couldn't get the cards for the other deck I wanted to play. So,
What do
go with what you know.
I don't know. Stop. Get out. You've ruined everything.
Trying to put it where it's in the deck.
It's centered. Oh my god.
Just
Just leave.
We got this.
We
man.
got this. Okay, so just playing it out of familiarity. Do you think it's actually particularly well positioned in the Castle's metagame?
Tonight it seemed like it was because I played 2 red-green decks, which are typically pretty good matchups for Mono Blue Devotion. And then I played the Mono Black deck, which is not typically a good matchup,
Right.
but I played the matchup a few times and I know it. And so tonight's metagame, yes. Typically, not so much because there's a lot more control decks in the room.
Right. You did seem to dodge all the control decks tonight. Dylan mulliganing to 5 in game 1 probably helped a little bit, although he seemed to actually still be able to put up a bit of a fight. Yeah, I missed like 1 land drop, still had the Thoughtseize,
I
curved
kept-
out in the Grey Merchant.
Yeah, I kept a hand that was not particularly well just because it had a 1-drop. The deck runs 8 2-drops game 1, so I figured I could draw a 2-drop hopefully. If not, I had a Night Veil Spectre in hand, which unfortunately he took off Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
So that was really hard for me to deal with. Just kind of went with the fact that he had mulligan to 5, so I had a little bit more time than typically you would against a mono black devotion deck, which he was flashing red. I don't think I ever really saw the red splash come up.
I think he was probably playing like Sire of Insanities and things like that out of the board. So for the control meta that he's
Yeah.
expecting at the castle here.
Kind of like the invitational deck list that Derek Sheets played.
Right.
Shout out.
Still can't believe that guy took it down.
Congratulations,
So does anyone
Derek.
in the chat have any questions, anything in particular? I think you were playing a Curse of the Swine on the board. Any particular reason for that?
Well, I find that it's really good whenever, say, red-green, just the monsters deck gets a good board position on you. Polykranos is the only way for them to really have a good game against you because they just go Polykranos for 1 on the monstrous, kill your Master of Waves, and you're just like, oh, well, that happened.
Right.
So just being able to have a way to deal with multiple creatures at once and turn them all into 2/2 boars is really a good position to be in against them. And as a one-of, it can't hurt to run it.
Sure, why not? It's all right. Thanks again, and congratulations.
No problem.
And thanks
you.
everyone for tuning in. That's it for tonight. Be sure to come out to our PTQ on April 19th. You can pre-register online to save $5. And be sure to tune in on Saturday. We'll be streaming International Tabletop Day, and on Thursday we have some Yu-Gi-Oh! So thanks for tuning in.